tonight?
Well, both those guys run with such good attitude, and they just bring it. And they just give us a little something special that we really love to have in our offense. I don't know how much it's going to go to them or not. We'll see what happens. We're going to play the game and balance it out. But we're excited to have Chris back for sure. Carlos had a big impact last week.
You've said that you thought that you guys were just kind of out of whack during that stretch where you lost 3 out of 4 games, and it certainly seemed true for Russell, who was uncharacteristically throwing those picks. What's gotten back on track for Russell?
Well, I think just a lot of stuff coming together. We've had a lot of guys coming out of the lineup, and so we just in fitting things together, we just weren't as smooth. And so I just feel like we're better now. We got a chance here to get a couple guys back. We got a 6-game thing here at the end of the season. Maybe we can stay healthy throughout and make a difference for us.
Your defense came into the week last in the league. Certainly not what we're used to seeing out of a Seahawks defense. But you've said that you think the D is turning a corner as well. How come?
Well, because we've been playing together for a little bit now. We're getting some time logging it together. Carlos has done a really nice job joining, helping us out. Getting Jamal back is a big deal. Just getting the feel. We get Shaquille back tonight would be great, and so it's just good to feel the guys feeling one another.
Thank you, Pete. Good luck to you tonight.
You got it. See ya.
Right, so the defense finding their groove and the running backs are back, so they expect some good positive things for the stretch run. Tough weather in Philadelphia, also here in New York City, so we are in our home away from home. And as we started the show with an avalanche of schedule changes because of COVID protocols, Adam, let's review and let's start with the Ravens and the Steelers and just how many times this game has been moved.
For the third time, the Ravens-Steelers game has been postponed, and it has been postponed to Wednesday, assuming there are no more positive tests out of Baltimore. The Ravens then would go out later this week, fly to Pittsburgh to play a game that was supposed to be on Thanksgiving night, was then moved to Sunday afternoon, was moved to Tuesday, now is being moved again to Wednesday. And it's being moved to Wednesday at 3:40 in the afternoon because, get this, NBC has the Rockefeller Center tree lighting ceremony that night in primetime. So the tree lighting ceremony took precedence over one of the NFL's great rivalries, the Steelers and the Ravens. So that goes at 3:40 Eastern, 12:40 on the West Coast. You can have lunch and watch the game on the West Coast if you'd like. That necessitated other moves as well. That meant moving Steelers-Washington, which had been Sunday, to Monday at 5 o'clock. And take a look at the schedule. Now, Pittsburgh and Washington, the Steelers are the same amount of time off as a team playing on a Sunday to a Thursday. They'll play Wednesday to Sunday, or Wednesday to Monday now in this particular case. And that means the Bills-49ers stays Monday night, and the Cowboys-Ravens game, which was supposed to be this Thursday, which was moved to next Monday, now will be next Tuesday, which is big. And I'll tell you why it's big. Because now Lamar Jackson is probably going to be back for that game. Whereas if that game had been played this Thursday, Lamar Jackson would have missed that game. He would have missed 2 games. So by pushing that game back till next week, that's an advantage for Baltimore that the league provided because now Lamar Jackson will come back for that game. So it's obviously a slew of changes. And should this game happen on Wednesday between the Ravens and Steelers, that would mean that the NFL would be through 12 weeks of the season because the 12th week has been the longest week in NFL history. And it would be 12 weeks without a single game that has been canceled this season.
And Steve, Lamar coming back is obviously a strategic advantage for the Ravens, but it's not why the NFL is doing this. The NFL points only to safety, not competitive advantage. But if you're a player, you just have to deal.
Yeah, Susie, what I don't understand is the league has spent incredible assets to protect competitive efficacy, like on the field, whether it was the referees, the replacement referees, or whether it was gambling, or whether it's the deflated footballs. They've spent an enormous amount of their equity in protecting competitive advantages. They won't have it, and no matter what. And now all of a sudden it doesn't matter that COVID has just made it so that, look, we have a quarterback, play the game. We have a quarterback that's missing, play the game. Like, to me, the schedule allows, they know if they put an NFL game on all throughout January, even if the season gets extended a couple weeks, people are going to watch it. They know that. Why wouldn't you protect the competitive kind of efficacy of the NFL season and why would you allow for a Denver Bronco game to go out there without a quarterback? It feels like they've spent so much energy making that, their North Star. All of a sudden it's not their North Star. Seems very weird to me.
Steve, there have been coaches over the last few days who have talked about the competitive integrity of the game and whether it's been upheld or not. But the league, frankly, in the season of a pandemic, is not concerned about that. The league is concerned about identifying, isolating, and containing the spread of the virus. And
Adam, look, whoever's the czar of the COVID effort for the NFL should be the czar for the world. I mean, it's amazing what the NFL's done. I give them complete credit. I love what they've done, and I give it every inch of all of that. Like, I don't want to take away from what they've accomplished. It's amazing. But why allow it to creep into the competitive integrity that you're talking about? You don't need to. Like, just make sure that the games get played, stretch it out if you can. Maybe there's something about the schedule that I don't understand, but why can't you be both? I don't understand why we can't be athletic here.
Well, here's what I think. I think the bottom line, the NFL said at the beginning of the season, everyone's got to be flexible. We're going to expand our practice squads to what is 16? 16. So you have to make sure that everybody is tested and ready to go because they knew this was going to happen. Cam Newton, one of the biggest stars in this league, he missed, the games go on. The NFL and the NFLPA have done an outstanding job of collaborating to make sure that our players are safe, that they're being tested. But one thing is for sure, the NFL has a schedule. There's a little flexibility down in Tampa for Super Bowl 55. There's a little bit of flexibility, but they don't want to use that unless they have to. This schedule will be rolled out, and I think when you look at what they've done, I like it. So what? Denver was at a competitive disadvantage. They were supposed to have, they should have had, like some people, like Philadelphia, has Josh McCown sequestered. He's video zooming quarterback to make sure they don't get in this situation. Yeah. So some teams have prepared for this, others haven't. That's a choice that the team made.
Look at this, okay? Restaurants in Los Angeles are closed. Everything in Santa Clara County, where the 49ers play, has been closed in terms of contact. The 49ers have to leave the state to go play in Arizona. Schools in certain areas of the country are done virtually. We are 12 weeks to the season, and the NFL hasn't missed a game. And that just tells you that the league is determined and bound to put on these games every single week, and no matter what happens, the Broncos could have a quarterback room wiped out. The 49ers could have to leave. The Patriots could lose their quarterback before they play the defending Super Bowl champions. And you know what? The show goes on. The show goes on. It's going to keep that way all season long unless there's an outbreak like we've seen in Baltimore and like we've seen in Tennessee. And even then, the show goes on.
Randy, are you feeling safe if you're a player for the Ravens?
No, I'm really just concerned. As big as this game was for Thursday night, and now they have to wait all of this time, I'm really concerned from a mental state to see where they are. How are they going to come out in a game like this? Then they got to turn around and play a few days afterward. I am concerned about not just the Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers mental state. I'm concerned about the National Football League, the players that they're relying on each week in and week out to give us this entertainment that we love every year. I'm concerned about that.
From a human standpoint, there was a player I spoke to this afternoon who said, I don't want to get on that plane to go to Pittsburgh. I don't want to go. I don't want to step on when there are this many people who have tested positive within my organization. That's the human side of this. Again, that's their job. That's what they signed up to do. They didn't opt out, and so the show goes on.
There you go. I mean, that's it. The NFL gave us options as players at the beginning of the season.
Yes, they did.
Do you want to in or do you want out? And everybody that said it, like Raheem Mostert, the running back, I get it. They're going to be in Arizona for 4 or 5 weeks. I understand it. It's 4 or 5 weeks as a player. If I were playing for the 49ers and they told me, okay, we got to go to Arizona to play for 5 weeks. I'm going to be away from my family for Christmas. You know what? I would hate it, but I understand the job I have. I have a finite period of time to make as much money as I can, as much money as possible. And if I have to spend one Christmas away from my family for 5 weeks to make sure everyone's safe, to make sure that I can provide for this family long beyond my playing days over with, I would do that.
You brought up Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert's been separated from his family all year long. His family's back in Cleveland. The rest of the 49ers organization now will be separated from their families because they're going to have to go to Arizona for 5 weeks unless those restrictions are lifted in the Santa Clara County. And so there's one more sacrifice in a season where everybody continues to make sacrifices. The world is not the same. The season has not been the same. It was always going to be different. It's been as different as can be predicted. And guess what? There's still 5 more weeks. We don't even know what's going to happen in these next 5 weeks.
The mantra continues, adapt and adjust. Adam, more news from today, starting with Will Fuller.
Will Fuller announced on Instagram, Susie, that he's been suspended 6 games, which means he's out the rest of this season for the first game of next season. His contract is up in Houston. It's very possible he's played his last down for the Texans. He'll lose the first game check for next year. And Houston, which cut Kenny Stills last week, now is shorthanded at the wide receiver position for the last